Okay, so this is my case building speech. This will be my third speech, I think. So I will be starting my speech in three, two, one. The world we have to apply this tech is not some dreamy fantasy world. It is filled with a vast majority of crimes. Things like rape, murder, thievery, and more are happening rapidly. If we apply this tech to society, it will not be a benefit for us, but rather the guys that controls this machine in question. The liquidity of usage was unbearable, which is why I am proud to oppose. First, I'm going to limit some things. I think this motion was a nightmare from the get-go. That I would rather the option of destruction or non-existence of such tech. But if the proposition was able to state a reason without mentioning the psychological yada yada to the criminals, but B, tell me a good way out for corrupt people to misuse it, then I'll agree with such fantasy world. Second of all, let me do a small rebuttal to the side proposition. Such proposition speech was all about psychological benefit the tech could give both the victim and the criminal. But I think that's delusional because side proposition didn't actually consider a lot of aspects like how it destroys the very essence of law in status quo, for example, or what's going to happen to the people that receive the impact, i.e., let's imagine this. A thief stole a jewelry. What's going to happen to the craftsman? Will they just accept it? Forget about it? Can they even complain about the injustice that happened right in front of their eye, right in front of inside of their own shop? They can't. Why? Because they don't remember a thing. But even if they receive a compensation, wouldn't it be even weirder when you don't remember a thing? Suddenly the police government compensate you out of nowhere, like it was just a random Thursday for you. But suddenly police come with a bag of cash. Like this is for compensation. Compensation for what? You don't even remember what's happening. Not to mention on how meddling with someone's mind was a violation of privacy. That is why I think the side proposition was delusional. Moving on to my argument, I have 2 points of argument. A, the significant raise percentage on how crimes become normalized, and B, the loss of the essence of law. A, I find it a bit funny on how the side proposition said that with this technology, the crime ratio will go down significantly. But I think it's the other way around. Imagine this. This is Lala. Lala is one of the marginalized people. She struggled to buy food to live daily and decided to just shoplift something like bread or something like mineral water. When caught, the police just removed her memory of the crime she did after jailing her for a few months. This could possibly planted the very small idea on how her crime was feeble enough. A few months in jail is enough for her to go back to her usual routine with no side effect whatsoever. This could make Lala possibly doing it again and again and again out of desperate due to her lack of cash to live properly. Now, imagine if the actor wasn't the marginalized people. Someone like Somber, for example, stole something because he forgot his wallet at home. For example, these very own examples, became a great reason on why people could possibly belittle crimes if this tech existed. Imagine the children that learn doing crimes are okay because at the end of the day, there's no significant impact on you for doing it. You just need to spend your holiday in jail and everything will be fine. Imagine the increasing crime rates that's going to happen because there's no give and takes in this case scenario. Without such tax existence, we could all live like usual, and such crime will be dealt professionally. If this motion was implemented, people would start looking down on law, which come to my second point of argument: the loss of law's essence. In law, we regard 3 points: A. Justice, B. Authorization, and C. Certainty very highly. If this motion applied in real life, this tech will be the very own seed of destruction in our own law, because there will be no justice, authorization, nor certainty whatsoever. Now, let me elaborate my point. First, justice. At first, this tech seemed like a saint, right? Its purpose on life was to give people of crime second chances. But does it represent justice in the victim's side? This tech's existence won't ensure the commutative justice happening both ways because it was heavy on one side, which is the criminal side. They want to apply for jobs, live like normal people, where we as a society have no idea if they have truly changed or not. Give them the benefit of the doubt, and they might do it again. They might do the crime again. What's the plus on the victim side? Oh, they get to forget about their trauma and terror. They can live normally again. I feel like that sentence itself is so wrong in many ways. There is 2.A that implies people with trauma are normal enough to live like a proper human being, but B, they disregard on how trauma and past terrors could be harvested as a way to grow to your own road of emotional maturity. Okay, moving on to my second point, utilization. Rich of you to talk about utilization when this tech itself was highly prone to misusage. Imagine someone powerful like Trump, for example, or Prabowo Subianto, for example. They are individuals with right to apply to be your leader. The thing is, they are not exactly innocent. They're not exactly innocent either. And what's wrong? They might use the tech to their heart's desire. Maybe they'll use it to rise up the social hierarchy, for example. You know, one thing about presidency is that they have an active hierarchy where the president itself is not even the top of the chain. It was the billionaires. What does that mean? It means they might use the tech to steer a good face in front of the one that controls them most of the time, which is the billionaires. Imagine the president of America misusing this tech to help his buddy without any jail time whatsoever, so he could just immediately use it so people won't know what their buddy was doing. And what is IA the buddy is the billionaires. Instead of applying it in his own country. At the end of the day, human is actually selfish, panel. It is humans' nature and behavioral pattern to please the one on top of them to ensure their own safety. But 3. My third point, certainty. Without a solid certainty, this tech and motion wouldn't be able to go full out on its potential. Without an absolute certainty, this motion could bring more mishaps than goods. But sure, imagine a world where everything and everyone is perfect. The government was amazing, and there's little to zero chance on corruption. Then this device will be able to unleash its potential. But if such world exists, don't we're good without this glazed technology? Now, moving on to why our side is the best, because the side proposition could only give you the good mental health argument, and their worst case scenario is a whole lot more than our side, which is the rise of injustice, the missing essence of law, the rise of criminal rates, etc., etc., etc. There's more, there's more, there's more. And our side, our best case scenario is to live like a normal being, and our worst case scenario is nothing. Because without the very tech, it will just be like our usual days, which is why I am proud to oppose.